podcast is part of the Big Heads Media Podcast Network. Go to bigheadsmedia.com for more great podcasts.
Welcome to Dig on America, where we speak truth to power. Every week, we give you the dig on how American history, policies, and media created the social and political issues we face today. DOA is independent media supported by listeners, but they'll tell you we're just fake news, deep state propaganda, funded by George Soros, the Clinton Foundation, BLM Marxists, and...
We all know it's been Dikembe Mutombo all along.
And Tom Brady.
Yeah,
it's always those nice ones that have the secret nefariousness about themselves.
Miss Anna, what about you?
Jalen Rose's hairline.
You gonna leave? All right,
Beijing King.
Y'all gonna leave Jalen Rose alone?
That's not Beijing.
I think that's him. I think that's his hair.
It is. I've looked it up. That's him.
He got strong hairline.
Why y'all hating on my man?
No, that's not hate. That is admiration.
Oh well, you don't do it about good people. It's always bad people.
I know, but it's just too crisp. Like it's borderline unbelievable.
Jalen's barber needs to be.
We could say Steve Harvey's hairline.
Wait, no. Kenan Thompson's imitation of Steve Harvey's hairline.
That's the best. That's the best one.
Steve Harvey is the only person I know who has two separate barbers, one for his head and one for his mustache. Because that is a full-time gig. 40 hours, overtime on the weekends. Like, that is a full gig.
So he actually has he has a barber, like, on call.
Yeah.
He actually has barbers on call, right? That's
all them famous people do.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they don't get Steve Harvey hairline. You know what I mean? Like, it's like if you got it on and we didn't know you had it, was it worth it?
No.
No one has ever asked. No one has ever asked Stephen A. Smith if he has a personal barber.
Stephen A. Smith?
Stop it. Yeah. Why all the goats? Y'all attacking the goats right now in sports.
No. I love them all. I'm just saying.
Me too. Okay. I love Stephen A. Smith.
Continue.
Welcome, everyone.
We got to talk about NFL announcer James Brown's shit. That mug hairline starts right here. They catch him at profile every once in a while. I just be like,
"Oh, come on home, man!
Give it up, dude!
Come on home!" Welcome everybody to yet another episode of Dig on America. My name is Mike Famine, joined here with the one, the only, the Kraken sipping fool himself, Big Haas. Nice, Haas, nice. With podcasts, you say something. Thank you. You can't point.
For the audio listeners.
Audio listeners are like, I think something.
I may or may not have had about 4 of these already. I'm just playing. And
also our regular contributor, attorney Anna, is with us. How are you, Anna?
Hi,
Double A squared.
2A. Second Amendment. I'm just gonna put a little pin in my cork cord.
Don't even.
And I'm gonna leave it there. I'm not gonna tie the string to it yet, but you just got a little pin in the cork board. And regular contributor Tim is with us. Tim Bristol, how are you, sir?
I'm pretty good. I got a bone to pick though.
Oh, I'm sorry.
With Dutch.
Okay. Yeah, he's not here.
So he was out there posting like, "Oh, these are all the DOA hosts and all that."
Mm-hmm.
Where's my love?
Wow, you did him like that, Dutch? That's crazy.
He's out there on Twitter putting everyone's picture up, but mine. And then
Twitter finger turn to trigger fingers.
He turns around and be like, "Hey Tim, can you sub in for me tonight?"
Oh,
like,
now.
Yeah, sure, Dutch.
Oh, I'm a contributor now. Oh, really?
I
didn't know. I didn't see a picture of myself on Twitter, so.
Yep.
We are also joined by a very special guest. Jason Calls with us, candidate for Washington 2nd District. How are you, Jason?
I'm wonderful. I'm not that special. We'll talk. I'm just an ordinary guy.
You know,
off to a good start.
So now we're gonna play a little game, just a little warm up game here, but also your candidacy is going to be determined by your answer to
It's in the
these
balance. It's in the balance.
4 questions. These are crucial.
All right.
You gotta stick the landing on these, or
Is this what I'm seeing with the 4 down territory rolling?
correct.
This is it?
Yes.
Correct.
Okay.
This, you
All
have
right.
entered 4 down territory.
Okay.
Big Haas, break them
Yes.
off.
Yeah. So, see you rocking the beard there. What is your beard conditioner of choice, sir?
Mm.
Head and shoulders.
Answer him.
Head and shoulders. It comes from the head. Does this?
Oh, okay. Okay.
That's
That's
it. I don't
it.
do any
That's
beard
it. You don't have a
conditioning.
special beard oil?
No.
You don't have
no.
a beard bonnet? You don't have a beard
Nope.
bonnet?
I don't have
God,
anything
Haas.
like that.
Hook over the
Although,
ears?
I will tell you, before I ran for Congress, back in I chopped it all off at about mid-November of 2019. I had the beard, if you can imagine, the beard.
Oh,
like,
you had
down,
the ZZ
down
top.
below
You had
where
the
you
ZZ
can
top
see.
joint.
Yeah, and I could braid my beard like I was a Viking. So, and I did.
I had it.
Since you're on the attack, Anna, you go ahead with the next question.
Okay, my question is, Mr. Cobb, how many nerves does someone have to get on before they get on your very last nerve?
Wow.
Oh man,
That's
it
deep.
all depends. It all depends on what the topic is, and I guess who is approaching me. I was a high school teacher for 18 years, so I got a lot of patience.
Salute to
I got a
service.
lot of
Salute to
patience.
service.
That's impressive.
But get me in a Democratic Party meeting with some moderates, and I have already hit my last nerve. So how about that?
Here's my 1A to that. How many nerves did you have going into the meeting?
I sort of go into those meetings like taking all the good nerves and sticking them in my pocket because I know I'm going to get down to that last nerve anyway. So let's just get to it.
I love that expectancy.
Yep.
And a plan.
Tim, your question.
All right.
Your turn.
So let's see. All right. So my food truck, we sell grilled cheese, and there is all sorts of stuff you can put in grilled cheese. What is your favorite ingredients to add to your grilled cheese?
Tuna.
Ooh.
What kind of tuna? Like,
I don't know.
Do you like making tuna melts?
Yeah, like a tuna melt. Tuna melt with cheese. Yeah.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But if you want to put a tuna steak in there, I'll have that too. Right?
Just to give me an ahi tuna steak, slap her in there.
Give me some tuna.
This might be a dumb statement, but I thought a tuna was a fish. So what is tuna steak?
It's a cut of the fish.
It's not out of a can, right? It's just like a steak, like ahi, right? You know.
Yeah.
Tuna steak.
There's
instead of the chopped up bits of tuna that we always get.
I had a good friend who worked in a fish packing plant once, and he would never eat tuna. He said, "You don't even want to know." So
all that mercury.
And I said, "Well, no, I don't know what goes in the can with the actual tuna," but he said he would never eat it, and I said, "Just don't tell me because I like my."
My question is always the same question. It's the middle of the night, and you're stumbling, bumbling over to the kitchen for a little snack. What are you grabbing out of the fridge or pantry?
Recently, I'm grabbing Lucky Charms.
It's a good choice.
Good choice.
Yeah, my daughter insisted I buy some Lucky Charms. And we don't eat a lot of cereal around here, but now I'm doing the midnight snack on Lucky Charms.
So Jason, tell people about your campaign and why is you running?
Okay, so I am running north of Seattle. My district goes from about 20 miles north of Seattle all the way up to the Canadian border. And includes the islands in the Puget Sound, the big islands in the North Puget Sound. I am running because I am fucking done with establishment bullshit. and I think we've got an opportunity here. I think the duopoly is broken. I have been an activist for over 30 years, and I'm just trying to take the activism into Congress. You know, I'm on the very, very left side of things. You know, I would be in Congress, and I've already said I wouldn't join the Progressive Caucus because they've got too many corporatists in the Progressive Caucus. And so I would stand outside the Progressive Caucus to the left, and I would encourage the actual progressives in the Progressive Caucus, which I could probably count on, you know, and I would say, hey, come over here and let's do some things. I love a few of them, like Corey and Rashida are my favorites, but you know, we are just in the midst of crisis after crisis after crisis, and our government is just not getting it done. And I think we need more voices for the working class. We need more voices for marginalized groups, and we need to get corporate money out of politics. So I'm running a no corporate money campaign. I don't take any PAC money whatsoever. We've raised over $140,000 to date, and not a single dime of PAC money. So I'm also really like I'm pretty well versed on the issues. I've been doing activism for a long time. I'm on the board of a volunteer group here in Washington State. We're trying to get single payer passed here in Washington. If you've heard of Whole Washington, you may have. We're running a ballot initiative this year. So we're just, we're trying to circumvent our state government, because our state government is, crooked as hell also. So we're taking issues to the people, and I think we've got to do. I don't want to be doom and gloom, and people kind of listen to the things that I say and we're like, oh, you need to be. I mean, I'm very optimistic that we can actually solve problems, but we not on the trajectory we are on. I mean, so I'm very much like, we have to change direction right fucking now. And that's my message. We've got to change direction right fucking now. My kids aren't going to have a future. Your kids aren't going to have a future. I mean, that's what we're up against.
Someone's got to pull the drive shaft out of this country.
Exactly.
Listen, it already fell out. It already fell out.
That is a great analogy, man.
It's broken on the ground.
Yeah, I'm running because I think I can make a difference, and if I can't actually make a difference, then at least I'm going to be a loud ass voice for the change that we need.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Campaign finance. I'm just going to steal Tim's question because I knew that's what you were thinking.
I'll come up with something else.
In your face. No, I'm not. I don't know the fullness of your point, but I wanted you to ask him that. That was my around the way of doing it.
Oh, okay. So you want to get corporate money out of politics, but what's the plan to actually do that? I mean,
it's got to be legislated. I mean, it's got to be legislated. So one of the things that we got to do is, and as much as I am frustrated with the Democratic Party, really, I think the Democratic Party is, it's hard to say this because I'm so frustrated with the Democratic Party, but we've got to get a couple more senators in there. And we've got to bypass Manchin and Sinema, and we've got to get the filibuster abolished, completely abolished, and we've got to expand the Supreme Court because we got to get rid of Citizens United. Now, I don't have any real hope that the Biden administration will do that. I mean, let's say we end up with 52 senators, and then the message to whoever's going to be there, I don't know if it's going to be Biden or it's going to be, somebody else, but the message would be, hopefully not a Republican, honestly, but I would support a progressive challenge to Joe Biden in 2024. If Bernie runs again, he's got my support. If Marianne Williamson runs, she's got my support. But we get that Senate majority that, at least has the potential to change things. And let me be clear, I think the Senate is an undemocratic institution. It always has been. It's like the House of Lords in Britain. The people say what they want, and the Senate makes sure only the things pass that are going to benefit the wealthy. If we get that Senate majority, then there's got to be a groundswell, grassroots, activist demand to get rid of the filibuster, to expand the Supreme Court, get rid of Citizens United, codify Roe versus Wade, undo whatever horrible shit this current rogue Supreme Court has got in it brewing for us. And if they don't do that, I don't even know what to say. I mean, I don't think we can do it unless we've got people who are willing to do that. So,
Right.
At that point, what happens after that? I don't know. Do we take to the streets? I've been ready to take to the streets. I have been ready for people to, I've been
Get
doing
angry.
I mean, that's what it takes. I mean, we've got to recognize how bad things are in this country for so many people. We'll be there or we won't be there. I don't know, but I'm going to keep pushing for that. That's what I'm going to do. So what is the answer? What could I possibly do? Again, I'll just be that, I'll be a loud voice for it and legislate it as much as possible.
So full disclosure, I'm aside from being a food truck guy, I'm a political scientist.
Oh no. Well, I have a political science degree. How about that?
Plot twist. No.
So I'm big on policy, and whenever I ask that question about campaign finance, like I know the background of campaign finance. That was my master's thesis.
Okay.
And I find it difficult to find a way to get policy around not just one Supreme Court decision. It's not just Citizens United. There are 5 Supreme Court decisions that have to be dealt with to even think about getting money out of politics.
Yeah.
But what, as a member of Congress, what specifically would you do policy-wise to at least try?
I'd support publicly funded elections, right? So if we, that would be the goal. If there was a head tax, call it a head tax of the voting population of about $10 to $15, you could fund every election in the country, at the state, local, federal level. I think our elections should be run with public financing and not corporate financing. So I'd certainly work on a bill for that. I would look at some kind of campaign finance reform bill to tackle the Supreme Court decisions that you're talking about. I mean, the one I'm obviously most familiar with is the flood of dark money with Citizens United. But I think if other stuff needs to go, then other stuff needs to go. But I think the political reality is that our politicians are overly influenced by corporate money, and that simply means that people don't get what they want,
Yeah.
Or not just want, but what we actually need.
If you're serious about public financing for elections, which I support, that's what my master's thesis was about. I live in Connecticut, and we have a public financing system for our state elections.
That's good.
The Supreme Court case you want to look at is Buckley versus Vallejo.
Oh, I know Buckley versus Vallejo. Yeah, sure.
So one of the rulings in that court case is that any such public financing program has to be voluntary for the candidates. They don't have to participate. That's the Supreme Court ruling that you have to get overturned.
Yeah. Well, then definitely that needs to go. Yeah, we need mandatory public financing. So, but you're not, again, the pathway to that is that you actually have an amenable Supreme Court, and the pathway to the amenable Supreme Court is that you get rid of the filibuster and you expand it. And so all of those things have to take place before we can even actually start talking about these decisions.
Yeah. Good thing like 3 complete dipshits didn't get put on the Supreme Court recently, because that would fucking suck.
Right.
That
Right.
would suck.
Well, and just that happened is part of my frustration with the Democratic Party. Like, what Amy Coney Barrett is gonna do? Block that shit. Don't play nice. When did Mitch McConnell ever play nice? Never. Not once.
In his 500 years in Congress, not once.
Right. Not once did Mitch McConnell ever play nice. And I don't know why the Democrats play nice. They're too worried about their image. Mitch McConnell is not worried about his image.
Sometimes you got to get dirty.
Yep.
Yeah.
Got to get dirty. And here's the thing. Well, I don't want to talk about the boys. I don't want to talk about the boys because I don't know if you've all got caught up.
Not yet.
I'm caught up on it. I'm caught up on it.
I'm caught
So
up.
you know what I'm talking about when I talk about polling and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not gonna spoil it. Look like Anna.
Well, listen. I mean, here's my frustration with the Democratic Party, and I have said this for a long time. That if the Democratic Party actually shed their corporate donorship and actually started doing things when they had the power to do it, they just started doing the right thing for people, they could bury the Republican Party in perpetuity. The Republican Party and their little white supremacist cadre, they would never see the light of day again. They would be a fringe group. The Democrats could make the Republican Party a fringe political party, but they won't do it because they're too stuck to the corporate money too.
It's all about that green.
What money? I think all political candidates should give all their extra campaign money to me, and I will blow it on useless things, and that way no one is influenced.
More Xboxes.
Right. They'll just be random shit. Like I think I'd buy a jetpack. I think me having a jetpack is a sacrifice I'm willing to make to clean up our elections. I think that's the only way to do this. Miss Anna, did you have one?
Yeah, I had a question. So you mentioned, Jason, about expanding the Supreme Court being a way to be able to get some policies passed or perhaps some Supreme Court rulings overturned. But let's just say there was a 13-person Supreme Court instead of a 9-person Supreme Court. What would really be the practical difference if, let's just say, decisions kind of came out the same way that they do with a 9-person Supreme Court? Because I guess for me, it just kind of operates under the assumption that if you expand the court, then the party who expands the court gets to select the individuals that are on the court. But what if there's a situation where we expand the Supreme Court and then there's a party leadership change?
So here's the thing. I mean, you have to expand the Supreme Court with making these changes in mind. You're right. I mean, if we just add more people to the court and we don't have that goal of here is what we're going to do with that expansion, then yeah, don't bother. But that's why we need more progressives in the Democratic Party to make those demands and push through more justices like Kagan and Sotomayor. And I would even say justices. I think we don't want to add justices like Merrick Garland. I mean, he's not even, he's the Attorney General and he's not even prosecuting, or seriously investigating January 6th. It doesn't seem like. So no, I mean, he was going to be a corporate middle of the road justice anyway. So no, you actually have to get some progressives in there. I mean, the Democratic Party has got to come to the realization of the policies that are going to quote unquote save this country. I mean, that's the reality, is they have to come to that realization. I don't think a lot of them are there. Certainly, if you see what's happening with the way the moderate wing, people like Hakeem Jeffries, is putting together these PACs that are specifically to go up against progressive potential challengers. I mean, right. There's division in the Democratic Party, and we have to deal with that, right? So the Democratic Party is divided. I'm certainly not okay with moving to accommodate moderates. I think the progressives need to put their foot down and tell the moderates, like, we're the ones who are representing, struggling communities. Progressives are the only ones who have a plan to help struggling communities and help, the planet survive. And so we have to recognize the gravity of that moment and really put our foots down and make those demands. I think that's a lot of the frustration that has gone on in the leftist discourse on social media right now, is that we elected people to do that in 2018, and they didn't show up and do that job, at least not in the way that we were expecting. But again, that's one of the ways that I said, or one of the reasons I say I'll stand to the left of the Progressive Caucus and I will make my own demands that they come my way. I mean, for me, we're running out of time. I'm not doing this as any kind of like career. I'm an activist, right? And if I can't make any headway in Congress, I'll fall back on being an activist until I die, right? But I think we need activism in Congress, and if I can light a spark or help some other people grow a backbone, then that's the job that I'm trying to do. And I'm well versed in policy. I know the policy things that I want to get accomplished, but we've got to stand up to it. We got to stand up to it and recognize that the window for climate is so short. I mean,
right.
Less than a decade. We got less than a decade to make some substantial systemic changes to our energy production and consumption, modes of transportation. And if we don't do that, like literally, like what I fall back on is like my kids are fucked, and I can't stand for that. So
yeah,
that's the fight that I feel like I'm in.
Just one more follow-up question. To your point about the Supreme Court and them being able to be instrumental in making some of the, or I guess, ruling on some of the issues and policies that you would set forth. What would happen, and just to kind of push back on what you said, what would happen in the event that in a Republican majority Congress, if they also decide to expand the court? Like after, let's just say the Democrats expand the court, like, do you see any potential negative implications of let's just say in one particular political cycle, we expand the court to include maybe 3 of our people, but then in the next political cycle, we expand it to include 5 more of their people? Do you see any potential issue there, or just how do you gauge that?
So here's what I'd say, like, we're running out of time. We are in, like, 4th and long, right? We're like 4th and long and
down territory.
Hail Mary time. I mean, I really believe that that's where we're at. That is sort of the conflux of crises that we are at right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm not concerned. What I'm concerned about is that we are not getting anything done now, and stuff needs to happen now. So the argument of like, oh, well, what if the Republicans do something on the other side of that? If we're playing defense like that, like, oh, we're too worried about what the Republicans do, so we're not going to do anything. That's as bad as just handing shit over to the Republicans, right? Because stuff needs to happen now. And so, and it is my honest belief that if the Democratic Party can get its act together and make that stuff happen for, the vast majority of this country that is struggling, then the Republican Party, like I said, they are going to be marginalized because the Democrats are actually doing things that people need, and then people are going to vote for them. They will reward good policy by voting for you, but what they won't reward is lip service, and they won't reward half-ass gestures. That's where they. Huh?
And I hate to interject though, but when you look at it, all the Democratic Party has been is lip service for a very long time.
I hear you. I'm not here to argue against
what really of substance has really come out of, and I hate to say that because by the same token,
well, right now they want to blame everything on Joe Manchin, and I'm like, are you telling me that you can't find some way to move Joe Manchin? That there is no way, like, I don't know what the buttons are to push. I'm not there, but if there's a button to push, you find that button and you push it and you move Joe Manchin.
You can't move him because he's not really a Democrat.
No, so then that's why I say, okay, what is a real Democratic Senate majority? It's a majority of 52. Okay, so we find 2 other seats and we bypass Joe Manchin. So I think that's important. But again, once you get to that, if you don't act with, this is where I am just furious with the Democratic Party, is when they have power, they don't act. You know, that's the problem. They don't act. And so I am there to be a loud voice, to have a national platform as a congressperson, and to use that platform to encourage the Democratic Party to act. And like Bernie said, if he was the president, he'd be the organizer in chief, right? So I will take on whatever role I have in Congress as being that organizer that is saying, this is where we need to go. You Democrats, you need to step up to it. And I think there are some good people in Congress who want to do that. But boy, everybody's so worried about decorum. And, you know, I am not at all worried about decorum. I'm like, you know, my kids are not going to have a planet to live on in 30 years. That's what I'm worried about. Don't tell me to mind my manners.
Yeah, I've never been one for manners. I always thought them a bit shallow and pedantic. No,
there's time and a place.
But I think, and especially with like the voting block that is like my age group, which is like now the incoming largest voting block, we're not really a fine linen kind of napkin place. Just give me a fucking paper towel. Paper towel is great. I'll eat my delicious steak with your expertly Michelin star. Oh, you need to go get me. Can I just use this paper towel right here? Yeah, let me just get down on it. Like, we don't need fancy. We need done.
We need done. That's really what it comes down to. We need it done.
Perfect is the enemy of done.
Oh, then,
and we're over it.
then I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
So you win your election, you get your committee assignments, whatever. What is the first piece of legislation that you write?
Well, I would like to try some campaign finance reform. I would like to you know, if November comes and I end up getting the nod, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to reach out to other progressives, and I'm going to say we need to work on campaign finance reform. We need to do whatever we can do to immediately reduce the influence of corporate money. Now, like you said, we're not going to be able to do it all at once, but I think everything else that we cannot get done stems from the fact that we've got corporate influence in Congress, and so we need to start stemming that influence right away. So, you know, there's other things. There's other things like individual policies, like, you know, I want to step up for Medicare for all. I think anything less than Medicare for all is a failure. Right? I don't want to strengthen the ACA. I don't want to just reduce prescription drug prices. We need to go whole hog. We need to pass Medicare for all. You know, the rest of the world has it figured out. We need to get off of fossil fuels. There is not a single reason that a fossil fuel company should be getting a single subsidy from our government, and yet they continue to get them time after time after time. We need to make sure that we are shutting down the fossil fuel industry and taking those subsidies that we were giving to fossil fuel exploration, and we need to make sure that we have good. I mean, the Green New Deal is investment in jobs. It's investment in local jobs and infrastructure and transportation and housing and all of the things that the American people actually need. They don't need more fossil fuels. So we can be smart about this. I mean, I don't think we can turn a switch and say fossil fuels are completely done, but we need to reduce them at an exponential decay level, right? When we talk mathematics, we need to exponentially decay the use of fossil fuels in this country. And I think we can do it. I think it's possible.
I know everyone hates Elon, but I really like that Tesla. I hate to say it. Big house. If he hadn't have fucked up all his shit, I already would have been pushing for one.
Think about this though. I was just
$7 to fill up 300 miles.
Yeah, but you know something? I
look cool as shit.
I was watching a video talking about the emissions that are undertaken to make one battery from the mining and everything. And it's like, in the end, it's almost a push.
I don't know that it is. I think that moving towards electric and batteries, it's not. So here's the other conversation then. The other conversation is about consumption. The other conversation is making sure that we're having local production of food and goods and not relying on shipping things 2,000 miles or across the world. I mean, you see some of the crazy shit that goes on. Food gets grown in South America. It gets shipped to Malaysia to be packaged, and then it gets sent back to the United States for sale. What the actual fuck? You know, I mean, so let's be smarter about this and make sure. And it's not just the United States. I mean, it's a global thing. Let's make sure that we are producing food. We need to get rid of big agri, right? We need to quit essentially strip
talking about messing
soil.
up too many people's money.
Money. Okay. So
Right.
So here's the thing: we're gonna tackle these things, or we're not gonna tackle? I mean, we're gonna deal with reality of what the future needs, or we're just gonna say, oh, too many rich people are gonna get in the way of this. I mean, that's when it gets down to the people. All right, what are the people going to do? And another aspect of the activist is that we've got to take on this task of educating the general public. The duopoly does not want an educated public, regardless of which side you're on, right?
Yep.
So us as activists who really see the crises that are in front of us, we have to take it upon ourselves to use every means possible to get out and educate the public on, hey, listen, we're probably going to have to get rid of fast food. We're probably going to have to. You might have to reduce your meat consumption. You might have to not drive so much, But the problem is we tell people that these are the things to do, and then we don't say, but here's what you should do, and here's a better way to do things instead, right? We're not conditioned to think about what's the better way we can do things. Where people just say, oh, you should not do that. That's bad. And people don't want to hear that. People are working hard. They're struggling. I eat at McDonald's sometimes. I'm like, I'm busy, but
it happens to all of us.
Right. But
Not
but I
proud.
think
We fall down.
realistically, we are at a point where if big systemic changes don't happen on a lot of fronts, we're looking at a severely diminished future for the human race, and that is, we have the power to do something. We're up against these giant behemoths of industry and finance. And so it's not like it's going to be easy, but we have to keep pushing in that direction. We have to keep giving voice to it.
So
Keep on pushing.
So let's.
We're very singy today. I like it.
We are very singy. I
I
guess my question then is like, how do you get America on board? And I'm not talking about like the 20% of people that actually vote. How do you get
Tim?
It's true.
You break my heart, Annie. You're breaking my heart.
How do you get the people in America to get on board with those kind of changes?
You have to go to where they are. You literally have to go there. Okay, so let me tell you a story. I ran, and this is just sort of indicative of what I see as the problem. Okay, I ran for state party chair in Washington, state Democratic Party chair. I don't know if I need to clarify that, but
you poor soul.
I ran in 2018 because what I saw with the Democratic Party is they spend their resources, like in order to win seats and maintain here in Washington, the Democrats are the majority in the legislature in both houses, not by a ton. I mean, it's a slim margin because we do have red areas in the state. And, so where they go, and the only place that they really spend any resources is those swing districts where they're like, okay, this one could go Republican, so we're going to go put our resources here. We're going to fight, and we're going to make sure that we maintain blue and don't go red. What I want to do is I want to go out into Eastern Washington. I want to go into Southwestern Washington. I want to go into those communities. The Democratic Party does not listen to those communities, right? So take your racists and your bigots and your anti-immigrants out of the mix, right? and just say, I was raised in a Republican household. My father's a Reagan Republican. He was also a bigot,
White Jesus.
But the reality is the struggles of the working class, whether you're Democrat, a lot of people don't even really think politically that way. They're just like, I'm just trying to put food on my table. I'm a Republican because I've always voted Republicans. And
Right.
sure, they can get sucked into some right-wing issues. But if we went, like, imagine if we just went to these communities and said, listen, forget about this notion of socialism. You hear this boogeyman socialism, socialized medicine. Forget about that, right? Are you happy with the health care you have? Can we talk about the health care that you have? Do you have the access to health care you need in your rural community? The answer is going to be no, right? Are you happy with your insurance company? Are you tired of fighting with the insurance companies to get the shit that you thought had covered? You're like, why am I getting these bills on the back end? Right? Are you happy with that? Now, sit down with me and let me show you how we can fix that. Is it socialized medicine? Whatever. You've got a socialized fire department. You got socialized education. Your police department is socialized, right?
Nobody coming out their pocket when they come put that house fire out.
Right? So if we can do this thing for you that will meet your needs, all the people who are telling you that that's going to ruin the economy, like, how's your economy doing right now? How is your economy doing right now? Wouldn't you want to take a chance on something else and make sure that you were getting health care, right? So those are the conversations that the Democratic Party is not willing to go into those communities because they're like, well, it's too heavy of a lift, right? Okay, well, I'm the kind of person that is like, it is the lift that needs to happen. So it's not too heavy of a lift. We have to do it. And the real, let me go letter from a Birmingham jail on you. The real problem here is the NIMBY white people who are, and this is the fight that I have in the Democratic Party, the people who are secure in their housing, in their retirement, in their health care. They've got their degrees. They've got their incomes, right? They don't want a homeless shelter like, we just locally we had this plot of land, and they're like, no, we cannot put a youth shelter there for we had it was going to be for LGBTQ youth who were being abused at home. It's like specific, like, we want to make sure that we're helping these kids, and they're like, well, our property values is going to go down. I'm like, fuck your property values, man. We got to help people.
There's people being hurt out here, and you worried about your property value.
But that is the problem, right? So they're more interested in the decorum and maintaining their own status, and so they'll lip service all of the, they'll lip service the BLM, and they'll lip service the, But when it comes down to actually changing the policies, they're like, oh, well, that's gonna impact my bottom line.
And they don't even know that. You don't even know that. You don't even. And the thing is you don't even know that. You're buying into a narrative that has been told over and over and over again so many times that that's what you believe. Because you build the shelter for these kids to be protected and cared for. If people are being protected and cared for and given resources, how are they going to decline your property value?
Yeah,
because they don't want to live by them, because
they don't want to live
them. Because the people who have resources to move away from them will move away from them, and that's what's going to increase their property value. Because if you don't have enough money to move out of that neighborhood, you're going to be the person living next door to the people who don't want to be lived next door to, and that's what's going to decrease your value.
Then they're going to be living next to you.
Are going
to. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Then
it is. So there's a lot of people.
It's born of bigotry. It's born of their own bigotry.
It is. But isn't that the case anyway? Isn't the redlining and all that the case anyway? Like, it was already set up that way.
Yeah, it has been. Yep, it has been. It's been instituted. It's been instituted in this country since the Civil War. So it is. God, it really is the moderates and they hate me. The moderates in the Democratic Party, they just think I am so uncivil. I I got suspended from the Democratic Party. I was a committee member of the state Democratic Party, and I got suspended. And part of the reason I got suspended is because I cut down a Confederate flag. Right, I cut a Confederate flag off of the back of a pickup truck. The pickup truck was parked in front of my just a little way down from my daughter's high school. It was parked in front of an elementary school, and I drove past that with my daughter, because I took my daughter, she was a junior at the time. I took her to school, and I was like, what the fresh hell is this going on here? And she's like, and she said, oh, that's a senior. He's in my math class. Well, the first thing
oh my God.
We got MAGA and Proud Boys in my area. I mean, we do. And I went to the school principal, and she said, well, I can't do anything about it because it's not parked on school property. I said, can you at least bring the kid in and talk to them? And, and I told my daughter that day, I said, I'm going to give it a week. If that flag's still there, it's coming down. And it was. And so I did. I took out my box cutter. I pulled up next to it, and I cut it, and I live streamed it to my Facebook page. And I was like,
that's where you got suspended.
Is not.
That's
like that you recorded the crime.
Our attorney Anna here will highly discourage anyone from recording.
Anna's on the phone like, what you doing?
What it is civil disobedience, right? If anybody had wanted to charge me, I would have gladly taken what you're vandalizing a flag. Go ahead. Stick it on my record, and then I'll tell everybody, yeah, I vandalized a Confederate flag because I was not going to have kids in my community walk past that flag, have to go to school knowing that there were other kids in that school that wanted to, enslave them and kill them. I mean, that's really where I was coming from with that. Right? Parked in front of I'm not going to go to anybody's private property. You want to park it in your driveway, fine, whatever. But in front of a school, that was too much for me. I cut the fucking thing down, and the white libs lost their minds.
What are you doing?
Destruction of property, and because I was a state committee person, you're representing the Democratic Party battle. I was like, you guys want to have this? You really want to have this fight? I was like, go ahead. All right.
Well, I said, property once again trumps.
Yeah. I said, not only do I not apologize, I'll cut another one down.
The ideology that we say we're against.
Yeah. People may have their opinions on whether what I did was right or wrong, but I don't regret it for a second.
Good.
He said, I'll cut another one down. Put up another one.
Right.
I cut that down too.
I cut it down too. You will not pass.
So anyway, but I tell that story because that is the mindset that we're up against. Like, if we're going to be serious about tackling racism, and this is again, it's kind of that mentality is why we are struggling to get any kind of movement on reparations. It's that oh man, that would just be, I don't know, too much.
Yeah, but everybody else can get their reparations though.
So
Confederate flag outside of my baby school. Shut it down with the edge of my head.
Confederate flag even legal. I mean, I want to tell them, if that was a Nazi flag, if that was the actual swastika, right? Would you be so mad at me? Because I don't see any difference between the two. Honestly,
it's just the American version of it.
We fought a war, man. The Confederacy represents traitors. Traitors.
What's so funny, Jason, is that I saw a tweet today that basically said that after the Civil War, after the Confederacy lost to the Union, that basically they were allowed to continue in their practices without consequence. And I guess that's one of the key differences between that and Nazi Germany, is that the Nazis were shunned and kind of separated and ostracized from society, or anybody who associated or affiliated with that, or those type of symbols. And in America, because we hide under this guise of free speech, you're allowed to have these type of symbols of essentially, at least to me, what is akin to the same thing. But because we've never shunned the people, we just have tried to accept them as part of the populace, even though they are a lot of, not everybody obviously, but some of the governments are just diametrically opposed to what the winning side was actually. They're allowed to continue to to have relics of of that past and continue to acknowledge that history, even though it's really a part of American history that should have died at that time that they lost at the war. But
yeah, you're right.
I mean,
And I think the three things that we really struggle with this in the country, and I have no problem saying I'm an anti-capitalist, but the three things that are inextricably bound to each other are capitalism, patriarchy, and white supremacy. And we don't seem to have a plan for dealing with any of that shit. And it is going to be radically changing. You're right. I mean, Germany, as far as I know, it is illegal to display swastikas. Like that's, any kind of Nazi memorabilia. Like they made that illegal. They recognized that part of their history that was so heinous that they said when they said never again and meant it. Right. That's the thing, is they said never again and they actually meant it.
The thing is that those three things that
that
you
was a
mentioned,
German yes.
Those three things that you mentioned are the needle, the thread, and the sweat of the people who wove this country together.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
I do.
And that is why it is so difficult to do anything to unravel those things, because to unravel them is to unravel the fabric of this nation, because those things are what put this nation together.
Yep.
And they don't want to do anything about that. And now you got corporate money backing and influencing the politicians, and those corporations, some of them were under different names and changed their name after the Civil War and after World War II and after World War I, because of them supplying the Nazis with the additive to the fuel so that their planes could fly, because they needed the war, because they made billions of dollars from the war.
Yeah. Well, and that's the other thing. That's actually the fourth leg of this stool is militarism. That's one of the things that's the thing that they really hated Martin Luther King for, was his anti-Vietnam stance.
Oh, no, Jason, I beg to differ. When he started talking about economic empowerment, that's when he ended up on the Lorraine balcony.
The Poor People's Campaign is
Poor People's Campaign. They're like, oh, he's trying to come after the money and have economic equity. Gotta go.
I get that, but I think that's where they really started turning against him. Like, if we look at civil rights as 64, 65, Martin Luther King had not gotten into his I don't think he had gotten into his very serious anti-Vietnam stage, but it came shortly after, and then after that, he was out in Memphis.
That was the Poor People's Campaign.
It's really all tied. It really all seems like it's all one of the same. But again, we're not dealing with any of it.
Nope. Oh no, because how much money is being funneled into political coffers by each of those four legs?
Yep.
Because when you talk about patriarchy, you got to talk about the evangelical Christian hierarchy.
Yeah. Well, all this anti-abortion stuff, all of this is about control of women. I mean, so anyway, man, that's dark. It's dark, isn't it? It's really fucking dark.
But that's not your fault. It's not your fault.
No, I think we got to keep talking about it. I think we got to keep talking about it at every opportunity.
So my new question that I'm going to ask every candidate: tell us about your district. Like, what's in it? What's around it? Is there like the best pizza place? That's impossible. I mean, I'm from Chicago, so it can't be pizza, and it's probably like not the best soda according to somebody who will remain nameless.
Don't lie.
I will tell you the best thing about my district is the sheer physical beauty of this district. So I can step out my door and I can see Mount Baker. I got the Cascades on one side. I got the Olympic Mountains on the other. I can go 5 minutes and I'm looking at the ocean. I can go 5 minutes that way and I'm in the forest. You know, I got beaches if I want them. I have to take a ferry ride to get to part of my district. One of my counties is all islands, and the only way we can get there is Washington State ferries. You know, last time I took a ferry ride, saw orca, right? So we got, you know, I can go see orca. It is the physical beauty of this state and my particular part of this state. I am in awe of just about every time I go outside. And I have lived a lot of places, or I've lived a number of places, but I've been almost everywhere in this country. And I keep coming back here. There are very few places that compare to the physical beauty of where I am in Washington State. So that's
What's
one
y'all
of the things
downtown look like, though?
Huh?
What's y'all downtown look like?
Well, our downtowns look like I don't have very many. Like, I'm north of Seattle. My district starts about 20 miles north of Seattle. So I don't have any massive cities in my district. The biggest city in my district is maybe like 150,000. But it's all like, I got a wall of suburbs. Like Seattle just extends north into my district. You know, so if you take Chicago, and Chicago just extends out, right? Seattle just extends north, like most big cities do. But we don't have like that. I don't have any skyscrapers in my district or anything like that. But we got
Main Street. Is it like?
Yeah, we have some main streets. We have main drags in our cities, and you know, I don't think the cities in my district are a whole lot different than the cities that I've encountered in Oregon or California or anything like that. I mean, we've got our own local flavor, but we've got we got farming here. We got rural farming areas. We've got college towns. You know, we got border towns. We're right up to the Canadian border. And you know, we don't have like let me think about this. Do we have anything specific to my area that people would be like, oh, that's something you can only get there? Nah, not really. Like I lived in Albuquerque, New Mexico for a while, and if you know anything about New Mexico, it's
scorpions everywhere.
Chili, man, the chili, the food in New Mexico, the red and the green chili is the bomb. Like, that's like, if you know New Mexico, you're like, oh, the food in New Mexico is amazing. So we don't have that here, but we have beautiful mountains and forests and ocean. And I think one of the few places in the country
you're gonna die beautifully.
Huh?
You're gonna starve to death, but you're gonna die looking at some good stuff.
No, we have good food here. We have good food here. I'll tell you what's not good about where we are right now is the property values are going through the roof. We're having a housing crisis here, the same as we are. I mean, the property values in Seattle have doubled in the last 4 years, and that just makes the property values everywhere just skyrocket. Like, I didn't buy my home for an investment, but now my property taxes have gone through the roof because my home value has doubled. Like, yay for me, but I don't want that. I just wanted to have my house and raise my kids.
So like Happy Valley area, and I see here Custer. I'm trying to find like all the big cities. Ferndale's,
yeah, I was just up in Ferndale today. Yep, I was putting signs
you ain't
up.
lying about these houses. Ooh,
how much you seen houses go for in Ferndale right now?
I don't know if I should say.
You say it. And I'll tell you what, that was a rinky-dink nothing of a town, 20 years ago. There was nothing in Ferndale 20 years ago.
I got one right here in downtown on Main Street. This is their downtown area.
You're on Main Street.
This is the smallest fucking house I've ever seen in my life. It is 1,287 square feet. $635,000.
Isn't that nuts? It's nuts, right?
What?
It's absolutely nuts. Absolutely, yeah. It's crazy. God. It's crazy. And a lot of times they're not buying it for the house itself; they're buying it for the land. It's the land that's going to appreciate in value, because they'll have that house. If it's not a great house, they'll knock the house down. They'll put up a 4-plex or an 8-plex on that land, and they'll just make bank. Landlords will just make bank here.
They got one of those for sale here. It looks like some sort of Cracker Barrel barn. Oh, C-word barrel. I apologize, white people. That's not my word. That's not my word. And I'm okay.
That's our word.
I apologize. I said. But they have this 4-unit building for $1.7 million. And it's 4 pretty small townhouses.
And that's Ferndale, huh?
That is Ferndale.
Yep, that's a rinky-dink town. It's a one exit off the freeway town.
Yeah.
You know, I don't even know that there's more than 20,000 people in Ferndale, if that.
Am I in the commercial properties? Like, am I in the wrong spot? No, there's regular houses.
That's what it's like. Housing values here are so they're in the islands. I was talking about San Juan Islands. I don't think that there's a single home for sale that's under 650,000.
What the hell are people supposed to do with that?
Well, here's the thing: is they are actually struggling right now. When I go talk to people about what problems you have in your area, they're like, we can't get day workers here. We can't get like laborers, like tradespeople up here. We can't get electricians. We can't get plumbers up here to work on the maintenance that we need because they can't make a wage enough to afford to live there. And I'm like, well, that's we got to do something to control housing prices. So there's a policy right there. When we talk about what do we need to do in terms of national policy, we have got to do something about the exploding cost of housing. You know, if we don't get a grip on housing, you know, we're just going to end up with more and more and more homeless people, more and more people on government assistance, and you know, trying to, you know, the waiting lists for actual Seattle Housing Authority buildings, which are actually really nice and well maintained. But the waiting list for those buildings, they're like 10 years long. You know,
stop it.
They're not even taking people anymore on their waiting lists because they're like, well, we got 10 years worth of people to get through, and you know, it's like try again later. It's nuts. It's absolutely nuts.
And I'm not sure if this is a problem in your district, but one thing I keep harping on, I keep complaining about, is it is incredibly frustrating because me and my wife just we're planning on buying next year, but we need to just stay in the similar area so that we can do all of our work stuff for just like another year. But we're looking around the area, and it's not like there's a ton of stuff on Zillow. It's that there's 30 things one day, 30 things the next day. You wait a couple weeks, there's 4. All of them are bought by companies that are nowhere near Illinois.
They're probably bought by property management companies. That's starting to happen in my neighborhood.
And it's like, I can't, like, how do you plan for your future? How do you even plan to buy a home in this area if they can and then they always pay cash and they pay the exact asking price. And
they often what's going on right now is that they're not paying the asking price because they will get into bidding wars and they will pay. You will find out that, you know, a house went on the market for $650,000, ended up selling at $800,000 because 3 or 4 people wanted to buy it, and then the buyer is just like, all right, well, who's going to pay me the most? And they will pay. And the reason
fight it out, guys.
The reason they will pay that is because it's the land. It's not even the structure, you know, unless it's some kind of specialty structure. But you know, for most part, if you're just talking about a wood frame house, they don't even care about the house. I mean, sure, they'll rent out the house, but it's not the house that has the value. That land will always have value when they own that land. So 10 years down in the future, that land is going to be tripled in value.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm just gonna get a tiny house in like a mini bus or something.
They want us all to rent, right? They want us all to be renters. They don't want us to be homeowners. The hedge funds are buying up all these properties. The property management companies buying up all these properties. They want to turn us all into renters, you know? So
they're trying to put housing on a subscription service, and I can't go.
Comment from the chat. You could let the free market sort that stuff out.
Yeah, I don't know. Isn't that what's happening right now? I mean, the free market means we're going to end up with riots. I mean, if that's the free market they're talking about, then, you know, we might be headed in that direction. But you know, it's not a.
Don't y'all know the free market ain't free?
and
This
there's
market
for playing.
ain't free.
Because the levers, the power levers set it up so that no, it's not free. They call it the
no
free
such thing as a
market.
free market.
But
You're
when
right.
you got financial institutions buying up whole subdivisions, how's that the free market?
Overnight cash.
When you got financial institutions and hedge funds and things like that paying, 30%, 40% over the asking price for a home. Sight unseen, waiving the home inspection and things like that. I know a ton of realtors. So when you got that happening, how is that the free market? That's not the free market. The free market is not free.
Well, I've seen reports already that the rate of people getting mortgages has declined drastically in the last 6 months.
And the rate of people applying.
Yeah, and the rate of people applying.
Forget it. Why even try?
The banks aren't gonna, with the interest rates going up, the banks aren't going to give out mortgages as freely.
Nope.
And you're right, there's going to be a housing crisis, if not already now, 6 months down the road when the Fed raises the interest rate again. There's going to be a problem.
Because they're going to.
When houses are too expensive and banks refuses to give out mortgages.
Yep. Well, and
when those same banks are the ones buying up the subdivisions, why would they give out a loan? Because that's a potential renter.
Yeah. And no one ever bothered to fix the problem last time either, with all the subprime mortgagues and all that. So it's just going to happen again.
Yep, and they are. I had a friend, the guy just 3 houses down, wanted to sell his home, and he told me that he had gotten some bids on the home, but every single one of those bidders was potentially going to be taken out of subprime mortgage. So the banks are back into doing the subprimes again, and he was like. He wasn't comfortable with it, and so he just ended up not selling his house. He was just like, nah, that's not going to work. I mean, he was like, I kind of feel like I want to protect the neighborhood I've been in for the last, and the best way to protect the neighborhood that I'm in is to not move. So, anyway,
I don't want to live next to him. He sounds like a good guy.
He was a cool guy.
Sounds like a nice guy.
I'd have a beer with him.
Hey, you sound like a cool guy. You have a brewski with him.
But I want to just address the last comment about what the free market would do. The problem with the free market is there's an immense amount of human suffering between whatever the problem is and whatever the solution ends up becoming. You leave it to the free market and you end up with massive human suffering if we ever actually even get to that end point where there's a solution, because all of the resources just get sucked up to the top 1%.
Yeah, right. If you let the free market handle it, it'll get to the point where there's another housing bubble.
Yep.
The bubble will burst. There'll be an economic recession. Housing values will go down, but there'll be no one living in those houses.
Right.
Meanwhile, back at the ranch,
isn't that already happening
winter
in San Francisco? In San Francisco, I read that there's more homeless people than there are empty homes. There's more empty homes than there are
homeless people.
In this country, the statistics right now is there are 28 empty homes for every homeless person. 28 empty homes for every homeless person.
It's a goddamn shame.
Tim, pull the drive shaft.
Shame.
It already fell out. It's back that way.
It doesn't make sense.
So
the so-called Christian nation refuses to do anything really substantive systemically about the homeless population. This country that's supposed to revere its troops so much.
Yep.
Yet all of those homeless veterans out there, and they refuse to do anything substantively, systemically to address that situation.
Yeah.
When have we ever addressed, like, all these things that we say? We've never addressed any of this stuff. We say it and we know that it's a thing, but we've never addressed homelessness. We've never addressed inequity.
Poverty.
We've never addressed poverty. We've never addressed any of that stuff. We've never addressed any of this. And the powers that be, what incentive do they have to stop buying these homes? Like Jason mentioned, Citizens United, corporations are people, so they can do everything that a natural person can do. So when you have a situation like that and you have them buying up everything and you have the people who are buying the things simultaneously setting the price, like what Zillow was doing, where they were buying the homes and then setting the prices of them so they could themselves determine the market. When you have that, there's no way that people can win. I mean, it's just not even set up that way. It's set up for people who have power to continue to retain power unless they are by force required to give it up, which who has the force? The people with the money. So it's just like, it's
Malcolm X said it. He said it. People with power, you can't ask for it has to be taken.
Right.
It has to be taken because they're not going to cede their power. They're not going to share it.
This is the conversation that needs to be had around healthcare also. Like the insurance, the for-profit insurance model with healthcare is a failed model from the start, because people have this idea that the insurance company is how I pay my bills, and they've got that all wrong. The insurance company is there to pay their bills. The insurance company is there to make money off of you by denying services to you. They are not there granting your service. Oh, my insurance company allowed me to get this procedure. No, your insurance company is making money off of you. That's all there is to it. And they are throwing you some crumbs and making you think. And we're so conditioned to think that, oh, my insurance company, I've got good insurance. Nobody has good insurance. They are all making a buck off of your health care, right? So that is the conversation that needs to be had. And I tell people, like, go back to Sarah Palin in 2008. Oh, we're going to have death panels. I'm like, motherfuckers, the insurance companies are the death panels. Aren't you seeing this?
Right.
Yay, capitalism.
Yeah.
You can see my house from here. That chick.
She's running for Alaska Senate.
So what y'all about to get into?
Everybody just did a collective sigh on Sarah Palin.
We just feel for her.
I don't know.
We just want to just muster a little hair up. Like, just go sit down. Here's your coloring books. Don't have no more kids. Thank you. Please.
She's running for Senate in Alaska.
Yes.
Did fucking Dr. Oz win?
No, it's still not decided.
I thought he won.
Did he win?
I thought
Tim,
so.
you were in Ireland. You might have missed it. I think Dr. Oz won.
I'm
about to say, didn't he win?
I think there was a bunch of legal stuff. Yeah, he won.
Well, it turns out, now I saw this on Twitter, so this could be a lie, but it turns out, according to Twitter, he is from New Jersey and is not registered to vote in Pennsylvania. He is registered to vote in New Jersey. So the question is, how is he able to run for anything in Pennsylvania when his primary residence is in New Jersey?
According to the mainstream media, Dr. Oz won the Pennsylvania GOP.
I see
that was the Senate primary.
As of 5 hours ago from AP News, he officially won.
Yeah, by 951 votes.
According
to the mainstream media.
Is he a real doctor?
Technically.
Yes. He's a heart surgeon.
What does that mean? Heart surgeon?
He's a surgeon.
He's
not a general wellness. That's not his specialty.
Okay. When was the last time he practiced medicine?
He's on the governing board of some hospital, I think.
Friend of the show, Ira Swede, he had an aortic dissection, and he said Dr. Oz is probably one of like 11 people in the country that would have been able to do the surgery. He has a artificial valve. So apparently, like, his surgical qualifications are beyond
Stick to what you
beyond dispute. But
it's giving Ben Carson, like, we are glad you can do this, but please don't do other stuff.
Yeah, because
right, like Ben Carson.
Ben Carson.
Like, we love gifted hands, but if you could just gift them hands on out the way, great.
It's like the what's that? He's so talented, I guess, as a surgeon, but then he has a TV show where he's pumping jelly juice into his audience, and I'm just like, what the hell is this? Like,
He's a snake oil salesman.
A wee bit.
Well,
Well, I think that will do it for the candidate portion of the show. So, Jason,
All
one
right.
more time, let's let everybody know how they can find you, how they can help your campaign,
Yeah.
and that good stuff.
So there it is. It's right there. Callforcongress.com. Call for Congress on all of my socials. It's very easy. Please send me some money because I do not take any corporate money whatsoever. We're all fully grassroots and will stay that way in perpetuity. And I want everybody to know that the likelihood of me going through to November, right? Our primary is August 2nd. The likelihood of me going through to November is like 99.9%. So my campaign is setting its sights on the November election, where we will be going toe-to-toe with a very corporate-centric Democrat who takes a ton of money from the fossil fuel industry and the war machine.
Oh, yeah. I had one more question. I forgot. Hold on. I got a little thing for it. What's one thing we should know about your opponent?
He takes a lot of money from the military industrial complex and the fossil fuel industry. No, I mean, honestly, he is just a very, very corporate conservative Democrat. He is not a leader on any issues. He's running to be chair of transportation. Right now, he's the chair of the aviation subcommittee of the transportation committee, and takes a lot of money from the aviation industry, right? So wouldn't you know? And he's running to be chair of transportation now that Peter DeFazio has retired. And honestly, we cannot let somebody who is so on the hook to the fossil fuel industry be the chair of taking our transportation department into the future. We need leadership on that. If nothing else, we need better leadership on our transportation systems. So he continues to vote for fossil fuel subsidies. He continues to vote against studies for sustainables and renewables. And he's really just a charlatan. This is the first year in 22 years that he's ever used the word progressive to describe himself, and the only reason he's doing that is because I'm standing to his left, calling myself the actual progressive. So, and I tell people if he's gonna lie to you about that, what else is he lying to you about?
What happens in the dark will come. So I think that'll wrap up the first segment of the show. Thank you so much, Jason, for coming on with us. And
it's been a pleasure.
Were you going to hang out for the dig portion? Are you still down to
I'm
party?
not. I gotta go. I gotta get going. I've got to get up early for work.
Gotta wash that beard.
I've got to. This one doesn't require too much washing, but I do. I gotta finish my beer, and I gotta get to bed. It's been a long day. I was driving all up and down my district today, putting up campaign signs. So I'm beat.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on, Jason.
Thank you so much, man.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. Enjoy the rest of your evening, everybody.
See ya.
Thank you.